to Final Show Films. Before you enjoy the following production, there's just a few things I'd like to get out of the way first. Starting off, I'd like to thank all of our Patreon supporters, especially our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic, Cat, Waterflame, and Samantha Bates. If you'd like to support us, you can do so on our Patreon at patreon.com/fsfilms, as well as by following me on Twitter at Johnny Bates, following and subscribing to us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Senstaku, on YouTube, youtube.com/Senstaku, and on any of our podcast feeds, links to which you can find on my Twitter account. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I hope you have a good time. Bye.
Alright, and we are live. Hello, everyone.
Greetings.
Oh, did they do the video?
I already went to the video.
Sweet, alright,
I went to the video where we were talking about the
Are the cameras aligned? Actually, it's a good question.
We look good. I'm thinking that the other side of the table might be slightly crooked based on looking at the camera's crookedness.
Yeah, but they're always slightly crooked because this thing is barely hanging on because you only used one screw, Austin.
Look! I'm on budget restraint.
One screw.
Forget my box of screws over there.
We have exactly 3 screws to put these two things on, and that's the one we devoted 2 to.
I was about to say, there are absolutely no screws just sitting over there.
On the floor as stepping on hazards.
Well, Austin knew that side didn't matter as much because we weren't on that side.
I mean, hey, it's not a problem. They're the ones that are crooked right now.
Alright, you guys have to do that for the entire time.
It's mostly
we
good.
can't.
Or you can fix the camera.
We can see stand fine.
Bonus points.
Also, we don't have extra people on the far side of the corner, so we can actually adjust.
We
these
can
a little
adjust
bit.
it back. Yeah.
Whenever you walk in front of this curtain, it has trouble green screening.
Yeah,
I feel like my right
I
leg is
murder
about to
the
fall
green
asleep.
screen. That time it didn't do it.
It did a little bit, it's not a lot.
Alright, so hi, by the way, we're a professional podcast group doing...
I haven't been able to get back to sleep since I got back from Gen Con. That's my excuse.
We're working out of a real recording studio in my basement. I mean, a real recording studio.
So, hi.
From REEL, Recording Studio.
So, hi everyone, I'm William and I am Dungeon Master for this Warcraft RPG campaign. Welcome to Storm, Earth, and Fire. I am William and I am the Dungeon Master for this Horde campaign. Joining me today we have John.
I'm John and I'm playing Garrick. Not that one. Cloud Speaker. almost said the wrong last name.
Garrick,
Yeah.
not that one.
Garrick Cloud Speaker. Orc Shaman Warrior. Or Warrior Shaman.
And Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly.
Yes, you are.
It's been a while, guys. I'm playing Shiana Flamecarver. She's a rogue.
And Austin.
Hi, I'm Austin and I'm playing a troll. And this
John
troll is a troll hunter, beastmaster,
Troll.
Dangatal Wildwalker.
Like anyone will ever use that name, but yeah, no.
Lots of people use it at
I do.
And Stan.
Me? Okay.
At and around you.
I'm playing Josh, the Goblin Tinker.
And Zachary.
I'm Zach and I'm playing Leaf Ironmender, half-human priest of the Holy Light Tinker.
And Rudy.
Hey, I'm Rudy. I'm playing Break Earth Whisperer, Tauren Runemaster.
And sorry about the late start. We'll probably also end up going short just because some of us have deadlines. But
Though, I will say, for those of you listening, we have discovered a way to fix our audio. We're going to be working on that.
it's a work in progress. But
When has our audio not been a work in progress?
When has our
Never.
anything not been a work in progress?
But anyway, the
Am I a work in progress?
yes.
Richard is.
I was about to say you have a child. You have a child that's a work in progress right now.
Definitionally.
So the shortness of this campaign, the shortness of this episode should work just fine because this is going to be a bit of a wind down. So when last we left off, the group, having returned from Silithus with reinforcements, met back up with Warlord Bloodhilt to prepare for battle to force the Alliance out of their foothold that they have on the Southern Barrens and retake this area completely for the Horde and break through their fortress and take down the leader of the Alliance forces. Battle went relatively well. Jangatal had a near encounter with the General Hawthorne of the Alliance forces
after being hit by a siege cannon.
It was an actual encounter, not a near one.
Yeah. His sword did touch me.
Repeatedly.
As did the siege cannon.
Repeatedly.
But everyone managed to survive the battle, and we pick up with the Horde forces having poured through the majority of the fortress. They've started taking anyone who was not a combatant. They started rounding them up, mostly for interrogation, and then to be released back to the Alliance after they have been interrogated and properly dealt with. And so the majority is there's a good number of Horde forces that are celebrating both in Desolation Hold back across the chasm and here in Fort Triumph. And as you all sort of mill about the enemy fortress, keeping an eye out for anyone still straggling around, as you take in your surroundings, Leaf, as you look around, you spot out of the corner of your eye, you see Vol'jin, the tall, sort of red-haired troll with his skull face paint approaching you specifically. I see the champions of this assault have all survived. Good to see ya. I got something for you and your companions. And he flicks something towards you. You catch it?
I catch it and take a look at it.
You open your pan, you see a pair of rings. Pick those off of the General. Those might be of use to you.
Can I tell what they are?
So there is one that is a very simple gold band. And as you hold it, it kind of hums lightly with some faint vibration. The other one is a steel ring. Very, not a whole lot of ornation, but there's a single black onyx gem in the inset. Both of these have a faint sense of magic about them.
Did you pick your first one?
It takes time to identify them, doesn't it?
It takes time, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you can spend an evening figuring them out.
Did anyone get the sword off the general?
It was just a great sword, though.
Alright, could I have gotten it?
You could have gotten it. You have a great sword.
Yep. Another thing I'm gonna do.
And as he looks around, well, this will be a night for the Horde to gather its morale, but there'll always be more fights in the future.
Of course. Are there any plans for where the divisions used here may go?
What do you think of this war, young one?
Well, not particularly fond of war in general. Honestly, I think if it were a better world, I would realize that the preemptive strike was unnecessary. Honestly, I do wish there was something else we could do, but as it stands, it's an unfortunate necessity. One that I hope comes to an end.
It is never a good thing to have to be the one to strike first. But when you know the enemy will strike if you don't, then you take that onto yourself to draw first blood. But it's good that you think that this shouldn't be the way. Neither do I.
So I've heard.
One day there might be peace. One day the Alliance and the Horde might lay down old grudges. But there be too many old soldiers and too many new bloods that pick up the rage of their ancestors.
Well then, that can be changed. One soul at a time.
One at a time. We start with these, he says, indicating to the prisoners. By showing them that we do them no harm, we put doubt in their heart as to whether this conflict is worth it. When they see we value their lives, they understand that in their situation we hope they do the same.
It certainly would be nice to throw off a few old stereotypes.
It's a long work, boy, but
Worth it.
yes.
I'm glad to see that there is pacifism higher in the chain of command. Sometimes it's easy to lose hope.
Well, always remember, peace be the noblest of aspiration. But to achieve it, you got to be willing to fight.
Of course.
If you lay down and surrender to your enemy, those without tolerance will act first when you will not. And they will win, not you.
I'll always be willing to fight for what matters.
Good. The real question.
Just
what's
not
worth
necessarily
fighting for?
kill.
Always remember what's worth fighting for.
Of course.
Well, I leave you to your revelry. I must commune with the Loa. He turns and disappears into the shadows.
I continue going about, because after the battle I would have tried to immediately stabilize whatever soldiers were fallen, either side.
Those that aren't dead? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've been spending an amount of time tending to the wounded.
So not the guys on my side of the battlefield.
No, I go to your side of the battlefield first.
Save survivors.
Kind of mowed through them.
I mean, my first qualification is, does the individual have a head? Okay?
Yeah.
Good. That's better than most of them. Let's try that.
As I go over, no, maybe, no.
Basically, I look for where blue has not been coated in red.
There you go.
So the rest of you have sort of gathered up to.
Has somebody gotten up Shiana and the troll?
Yeah, the two of you have been tended to.
Thank you.
Some priests have come by, some shamans
Ancestral healing tool.
have made sure to take good care of you. You've been healed up.
Cool. I mean, I just need one hit point, and then I'll...
Oh, and
I'll do the
also
rest.
the
Imminent explosion.
Oh yeah, so
Rewind for a minute.
what did you intend to do about that?
I was going to jump out. I mean, that
Jump
turn.
way out.
I have evasion too, so I'm just going to jump out and see what happens. Because I don't necessarily know it's going to explode, but I do know that something's wrong. And
You know something's
I'm gonna
horribly
head
wrong
out.
with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
and it's goblin
simply-
made, so you can assume it's going to explode.
I didn't do anything that battle, by the way, in case anybody was counting. I did not accomplish anything, except taking one hit from somebody else.
And then making your thing explode.
Yeah.
So you bolt out of the vehicle.
You bolting out of the vehicle.
Where do you think you got the name?
and you sprint for a few feet before the arm, the buzzsaw
Yeah,
blade
just the
on
buzzsaw
the
blade.
edge of the steam armor clicks angrily, and the blade spins a bit and scrapes a spark against the inside of the guide, and there's a small spark and then a small explosion as bits of metal as the saw basically flies apart into shrapnel, essentially.
Yeah. Right.
Those of us that were nearby have to make,
The rest of you
Checks.
probably cleared out at that point.
When you see the goblin bolting, the rest of you...
Yeah.
let's move away.
And by the look of it, the suit itself is still intact. It's
Okay.
damaged, but it's still there. But the saw is busted.
Yeah, so I was lost. Okay.
So now you just need a different weapon.
Go back in, climb in, look at the thing, like the interior. There's like a perfect goblin shape of shrapnel on the inside of the chair. It's just, that would have been bad.
It's like, man, the shrapnel only went where the goblin's seating is. Like, who designed this?
Goblins.
It's like, if I'm going to die, it needs to be epic.
Goblins, designed for their enemies. You got the one that was intended for gnomish pilots.
Their enemies are also themselves.
You'll be able to salvage this. You can get it back online and move it back in and start doing some repairs on it.
Yeah, fix up.
But as the remainder of you sort of gathered around a campfire where soldiers have sort of taken a rest, they've started taking helmets off and having food and drink around the campfire that's been set up inside Fort Triumph.
I'm actually going to be exploring the fort because I want to poke everything and see and.
But the three of you are approached while everyone's sitting in the crowd. One of the orcs, one of the soldiers, kind of.
The three of us.
The three of you.
The two orcs and the Tauren.
The two orcs and the Tauren.
Okay.
Because you're the ones that are sitting together, presumably.
Yeah.
There's one of the orc soldiers steps up, and so he sort of takes his helmet off for a minute and puts it in his arm. Well, I see the heroes of the day have all made it through. It's good to see all of you, and I might say you've certainly done a lot more in your time out of the Valley of Trials than I have. And as you look up, his face is a little familiar. He looks about Garrick's age, and it sort of clicks in a couple of your heads that this guy was like in the year or two ahead of you at the Valley of Trials, so you would have seen him on his way out as you were going in. So you sort of get that faint recognition of this guy's not much older than you.
Do I know his name?
Not really.
No.
Do I hate him?
Everyone hates you.
Okay.
No, you hate everyone. I should say. Clarify.
No, everyone hates her too.
That's her mind. Remember.
And you don't actively hate everyone.
Passively hate everyone.
But it's good to see you all made it out. I'm Kareth. I was in the year before you in the Valley of Trials.
I'll extend an arm for a forearm grab.
Takes it.
Well met, brother.
So, you all pulled some fantastic work out there. I have a question for you. What were you thinking of doing after your military time was up?
I honestly haven't thought that far ahead.
No? That's a question that's been going around to a lot of those of us who, well, it's almost up for. And after you graduate the Valley of Trials, you got a year under the service of the Horde, and then you're free. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I was just curious if you guys had any thoughts already. What you were going to do with your lives.
Gianna?
It's a ways off for me. I haven't thought of it.
Well, my year's almost up, so it's just over the horizon for me. I don't think the military life is cut out for me, though, he says, kind of sitting down and putting his helmet down next to him.
Where was he in the battle? Do I recognize where he was?
Yeah, he was not in your unit, but in the unit of grunts. That
So he was one of the grunts. He wasn't the shamans.
Yeah, he was one of the grunts.
Okay. Grunt work can be particularly difficult.
It's just, I don't know if I have the fire that other soldiers do. I just don't know if the military life. I've always felt better working steel than wielding it.
We are a kindred spirit, then. Blacksmithing was my original calling.
Now, Zinji over there, he says, pointing to a female troll who has already got like a drink in each hand and is just in the middle of conversation, very loud and raucous with some of the other soldiers. Her like long blue hair is like tied into a series of braids. She's really taken a liking to the military life. She's thinking of enlisting full time once her year's up. Me, I think I might just go back to Orgrimmar and be a blacksmith.
There is honor in that. What about you, Brick?
Most likely I will go back to my mother and sisters back home and see where things go from there.
Where are you from? Mulgore?
That's the homeland of the Tauren.
Yes.
If you want to name a village, you're welcome to come up with a name.
Okay. Yes, that's as far as I thought of this.
I would like to see Mulgore. Realistically, I feel I would probably wander the land. Be the spirits.
You thinking of signing up with a guild?
Possibly.
I've heard that I've heard, so they say, that the guilds are often those who have a fondness for the adventure, but not quite the rigor of the military career, often join adventuring guilds.
I've been a member of the military of the Horde for some time now. Thinking of life beyond it is a little odd.
Well, it's something to think about. I heard the Ironjaw Guild, the Ironjaw Regiment, came through Razor Hill recently.
That was the Iron Wolves, wasn't it?
No, they're the Ironjaw. The Iron Fang.
Iron Fang, that's it.
Iron Fang Regiment.
The Iron Fang.
Right then.
They did, providing aid in the wake of the cataclysm.
There's a rare guild. They're actually independent, not Horde or Alliance affiliated, although they fight for the highest bidder.
They were a motivated group of people, from what I hear, considering I wasn't there because I had been washed out by a tsunami.
Right. Garrick went for a swim.
Oh, the swim went for me, really. I didn't have any choice in the matter.
I don't think there's a lot of swimming either.
It was more bouncing against rocks.
They were very helpful, assisting.
That was downright praise coming from Shiana. They were helpful.
There's a number of different guilds out there. You know, anything from the Iron Fangs to the Blood Red Legion, which is definitely, Horde affiliated. They've headed out. I think they got deployed to the Highlands, where there's been a lot of rumor of Twilight's Hammer activity, a lot of Horde and Alliance confrontation.
Which one is Shiana's brother?
The Blood Red Legion.
It is, okay. I thought so.
And then, of course, you've got your non-combatant guilds. You've got the craftsmen's guilds, the various different crafting guilds. I might sign up with one of them, put my blacksmithing talents to good use.
What does, out of character, what does Samuro do?
Samuro is...
Other than be a badass.
Samuro is Korkron, which means he's military. He's the Marines. If the Horde military is the army, Samuro is part of the Marines.
Okay.
And he's one of the head military commanders and trainers of the Korkron.
My master is a member of the Korkron. I may head in that direction.
More military work for you.
Time will tell, though.
Still, I think if you all put the same effort into whatever you do after this that you put into this, I think you'll all do well.
I'm curious. I probably had enough time by now to identify what those rings were.
Probably.
Because if it was something useful to the rest of the party, I would probably end up wanting to.
I have an educated guess. That might be metagaming for me having memorized the Magic Items Manual.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, figured.
Those are all the smallest they can get, by the way. It's just the small ones.
Yeah, yeah.
How does gold ring tell you? How does?
It's the mild humming. Don't even worry about it. Because every other ring in the manual is absurdly descriptive. Actually, super plain gold ring.
There's like one ring it can be.
Is it the bigger one or the smaller one? Of the 2 pages he's got.
The bigger.
What?
The mild humming one.
Oh.
It's this one.
It's the smaller one.
Oh, okay.
It's a ring of protection in a Blackstone ring. I mean, it's not rocket science.
One gives you +1 deflection bonus to AC. The other one gives you a +1 attack and damage bonus. But it's like luck based or something. It stacks with
it's
everything.
It's a luck bonus.
Yeah, it's a luck bonus. So it stacks with everything, which makes it really good because it'll stack. It's not an enhancement or anything.
It would stack with my Rockbiter weapon.
Yes.
Ooh.
No, I'm thinking you get that, and I'm thinking, little miss, I like to engage people with claws and melee, despite being a rogue, might need that ring of protection.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Stop.
So I'll probably try to seek their group out once I have those identified and once I figure that I'm mostly done with what
Also,
I'm doing.
at some point in the middle of this conversation, I take out that greatsword, I stab it into the ground, and I use my foot to break the blade. And I do that, like, I break the blade into 4 separate pieces, with the hilt coming off the last piece.
Yeah.
So I've got the hilt, and then 4
3%, and then 3
and then
pieces
four
of blade.
4 bits of blade.
Okay.
The hilt and 4 bits of blade. And I sort of stack them together. And how ornate is the hilt?
It's got it's not like a whole lot of engraving, but the leather work around the hilt is very finely wrapped, so it's got this very nice spiral pattern. And then the crossguard itself has sort of almost a fork shape, where it's got the very hard curve on the edge of the crossguard designed to catch weapons, and it's gold plated. It's not gold, but it's colored gold, and the pommel has this sort of large round base with a sort of a blue, like a sapphire set into it.
This is a weapon somebody actually used in a war, so they're not gonna. It's not gonna be one of those.
Yeah.
Absurd.
My plan.
To be fair,
after
you know what universe we're in right now.
After eating and socializing, my plan is to actually go over to the smithy, to a blacksmith, and I'm going to blunt the edges of the blade, basically flatten out the tip of that part, and I'm basically going to attach the blade to my boots and bracers, and then the hilt I'm going to incorporate into my totem.
Roll me a blacksmithing check, just to see how well it goes.
17.
17? Yeah, so it sort of creates more of that sort of slapdash armor look that a lot of horde armor has, as you sort of help apply the extra metal from the different blades onto your bracers and greaves to sort of create a little bit of an extra metal plate, and then you sort of bend the crossguard a bit so that it doesn't interfere with the totem, and just kind of slam it and attach it roughly to the edge of the totem.
Yeah. Basically, just the intention here is to give my armor a little bit more of a bladed look to it.
Yeah.
Without actually being bladed.
Yeah. Looks a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Using the scraps from my enemies to enhance my stuff.
Yep.
But that's why I took the blades. That happens over the course of the evening, though.
Yeah. So Kareth spends a short amount of time making idle conversation with the group of you.
It's like idle conversation.
But after a while, he gets a signal from Zinji, the troll, and he stands up and goes over and walks over to her to have a conversation.
Well, how was the other side of the battlefield, Shauna? We were on opposite sides.
I think she's referring to the fact that she may or may not have been struck by that great sword you're snapping.
Yeah.
She fought fiercely.
She's kind of ignoring you.
Just gonna walk away.
Okay.
She's gonna give him like a friendly pat on the back. Because you were nice.
You also elbow dropped from the heavens and saved her, so.
Yeah.
She was unconscious by that point, though.
Yes, but you probably. I mean, I like to think that was like her last thing. Is like she gets struck, and as she's going out, she just sees Thorin blotting out the sun.
Just the savage elbow, just
getting like the re-entry heat.
It's like as you go down, you hear a crack, and you're not sure if it's like your head hitting the rock or his elbow hitting the other person's head. Could have been both.
Shiana's gonna go get a drink.
I actually, when I had described the landing, I was thinking of the Nomu fight when All Might lands next to the Nomu and there's just rocks that fly up into the air.
Yep.
But so you go and get a drink.
Yeah.
And you sort of pass by Kareth and Zinji as they're in the middle of conversation, and you see the troll has had like 3 mugs already, and she's definitely a little bit into her cups, but she's enjoying herself being loud and raucous and sort of the center of attention of this group of grunts that are all having conversation. And then the footman had the gall to put his shield down because he thought he was gonna kill me. Well, turns out shield works 2 ways. Slam it into his face. He can't see your blade in his gut.
Where was she in the battlefield?
She was in the grunt unit as well.
Okay.
It seems like the 2 of them fought in the same unit, basically.
They were next to us.
Yeah. And so you get your drink, and the orc hands it to you, and it's like, good work out there.
Thank you.
You look tense. Relax. We won. Enjoy yourself.
She takes the drink, walks away.
All right. Drink water, or you'll be hungover in the morning.
She won't.
No, she won't.
Drink water, that is. She will be hungover in the morning.
Well, let's see. What's your count? She's got a pretty good con.
What is my con?
It's 14.
Okay, yeah.
Did you get hit points for your last level, by the way?
No, thank you.
Remember to hit points.
Yeah.
Do you come and find people? Or?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find people you want.
I imagine Shiana's trying her best to vanish into crowds, so I imagine...
Shiana's really good at vanishing into crowds, though.
It's kind of her thing.
The question is she actually vanishing into crowds, or is she making a show of being edgy and vanishing into the crowd?
That is the question, isn't it?
In other words, do I not notice you, or do I notice, like, the 30-foot aura of people avoiding you?
She could be the life of the party. You never know.
Because all I'm saying is I have a 15 spot check, so...
what we're saying is...
Not.
Are you by yourself through stealth or intimidation right now?
Just walking off.
She's kind of just hanging back, but she isn't like trying to stealth or intimidate right now.
She's doing the loner in a party thing and just leaning on one of the walls.
Yes.
The edgy corner thing.
Yes, exactly.
So which group would I find first?
Well, the rest of them are all sitting around the central campfire, just having food and drink, and she's off to the side, sort of leaning against the wall. So whichever one.
All right, I would head for the central campfire first, but
you don't see the troll with the rest of the group.
Yeah, the troll's wandering the keep.
He's not much one for conversation. That makes sense.
This is true.
Yeah.
Is Josh with the same group, or is he?
Josh is fixing.
I'm off fixing stuff.
There's a group of engineers inside Fort Triumph who brought all the siege equipment in for repairs, and he's with them working on the steam suit that he had piloted.
That he blew up.
That somebody blew up.
The steam suit that blew up.
It got hit by a rock.
Well, yes, but the saw didn't.
I got hit pretty hard.
So you know.
Hey, Elise. Welcome. Come. Have food.
I imagine there is plenty of
Oh yeah,
food,
there's food and drink to pass around.
Plenty of food.
I imagine they raided the Alliance's storerooms.
Oh yeah, and they were fully stocked.
Oh yeah, that's right. That would be.
A lot of Alliance dwarven beer.
Yeah, real good beer.
I've got just a hunk of meat in one hand, a broken blade by my foot, and then a mug of something.
I pull out the Blackstone ring and just sort of look over it for a moment. By now, so you would still have the bits of broken blade right now?
They're sort of stacked next to me. I haven't started forging them into things.
I look over to it. What's with the sword?
Keepsake.
Well, I believe there is a matching part to that. I toss over the ring. I believe you'll be able to make far more use of it than myself.
I cast Identify on it.
I sort of raise my hand up to tell you what it does, but
it takes it's an action, so it just takes
Which one? Both of them?
The Blackstone card.
Oh,
the big one.
Yeah.
I like those. Those are fun.
My thanks. I'm like 2 or 3 cups in right now, and I have 10 stamina. So it's just oh, interesting. Okay.
You'll have to cast Identify again in the morning.
Where did this come from?
What the fuck is this?
Oh, okay.
Apparently Vol'jin,
Vol'jin.
Apparently Vol'jin saw fit to hand these over to me.
I'll have to give him my thanks then. What have you been up to, Leaf?
Well, attempting my duties as a healer as it stands. The aftermath of battle does leave one rather busy on that front.
It does.
But at the very least, it would seem that the casualties were mostly to a minimum.
Good to hear.
I take it Shiana preferred the company of herself.
As far as I'm aware.
That would that does not surprise me at all.
I'm sure it won't be too difficult to find her if you're looking for her.
Do you want
Simply
to find her?
Simply to give her something. Apparently, there were 2 rings. One of them was a ring of protection. I imagine it would be more use to her than anyone else.
Potentially.
I did see the aftermath of that fight after all.
It
Be
was
worrying to lose someone.
Well, good luck in your search.
Hopefully I don't need it, but then again, this is Shiana we're talking about.
Oh.
I think he needs more luck once he finds her.
I won't stay in the blast radius long. I stand up and search.
And so, Shiana, while you're sort of sitting and just kind of leaning against the wall, kind of looking around, you spot literally directly across the fort from where you are, leaning against the opposite wall, is Lady Sylvanas. You see the sort of the tall, slender shape, almost the elven form of the Banshee Queen, with her hood sort of pulled up as she just kind of leans against the wall with her bow sort of resting on the ground with her left hand on it, just observing events. You see those glowing red eyes as they sort of sweep the area.
It's hard to out-edge a Forsaken.
Especially a Banshee Queen, a Dark Ranger. You just sort of see as she kind of watches everything around her, and before you can really think too much about it, Leaf walks up to you.
I hold up the ring.
You
Here.
proposing?
No, I just kind of hold it in my hand, like sort of toss it over. Here. Do you make a motion to catch it? I would hope so.
Sure, she'll catch it.
Are you eating or drinking right now?
That's right.
You catch it in your mug.
Oh.
Thank you.
You do have something in your arm.
Yeah, she does.
No,
She has
she's drinking right now.
So if you do have something, then I'll just kind of hold it up. This was on the Alliance Commander. I believe you could make some use out of it. It's a ring of defense.
Okay.
He's calling you weak.
Just lay it on her head. And walk
Honestly,
off.
that's probably one of the things that runs through her head in that instant.
Yeah.
Do I even have to make a sense motive to realize that she suddenly judges me like that? I mean, I think she just wears it on her
Suddenly
face.
judges you?
That would be the assumption that this is a sudden judgment.
You see, you should have given it to the troll and had the troll bring it to her.
Think of it this way.
So
Neither
you
of
say
us...
I'm weak? Little twig.
You were the one that fell, not him.
Think about it this way.
Thankfully, the goblin's not near shot.
You'd be dead.
I know.
Think about it this way. I'd rather avoid healing you. You'd rather avoid being healed. If this accomplishes that
So you
end...
don't even want to help me.
Consider this my help.
So you don't have to deal with me now.
Always the pessimist.
I asked how she was, and that was enough to upset.
Just lay it on her head and walk off.
If you wish to read into this, you may do so as much as you like. I ask nothing in return. Just take it. I can't make much use of it myself. And she's still holding the drink.
Yeah, she's all in a drink, so, you know.
Is there a
she's
table or
just
something
staring-
nearby?
Well, I mean, she
staring
can
down
grab
right
it with
now.
her finger. Like, she's got... I'm
She
sure
could.
she's used to...
She's also got a glove of claws on.
Yeah,
Is there a
right.
table or something
No,
nearby?
she's off on the side with she's literally
Leaning
up against a wall with a drink in her right hand. Just
She's gonna arch an eyebrow, like, what you gonna do?
Just step it down her shirt. Or just
I
leave it.
know. If you would like him to die right now, please stuff it down her shirt.
Perhaps at a later time, then.
you could also leave it on the ground.
Yeah, but then you don't know. Well, you can go back and.
Yeah, I like.
She might take that as insulting. I don't know.
Everything
So,
you do is going to be insulting.
no. Perhaps at a later time, then. I leave. I just turn around and leave.
Leaf walks away this time.
If you don't want it, you don't need it.
I'll put that.
I will attempt later when you don't have the social excuse of holding a mug.
My hand is full.
Our party works so well together.
I was thinking, John, of the Titus sketch, the Christopher Titus sketch.
Yeah.
They use that shit against us.
They used that shit against us.
So, is there anything of interest in the keep? How much life is in this keep? Like animals?
It's not a lot. It looks like there were some basic stables for horses, but they seem to be not in use, and they haven't really been in use for a while. They've been sort of cleaned out. And everything is stone. Like, there's a whole lot of stonework in here, and so there's, on the inside of any building, there's not really a whole lot in terms of life. There's, it's very cold in this place compared to, like, even Desolation Hold, that has a lot of steel and metal structure, has a lot of, like, open air and a lot of a lot of the ground floor is exposed dirt, whereas here it's all stone.
Any reptiles, snakes, lizards?
Occasionally, they definitely don't seem to have been killing them off, but they're not keeping them or anything. So you just see the occasional animal that's wandered in.
Up to 5.
Okay.
And you add.
This is Tommy. Okay.
So it's very,
Then you add that. And you add twice what that would.
very
to your deck.
just dead,
Twice.
cold.
So like, if I subtract 5, I add 10.
I mean, obviously they still have their stuff here, so
That's
it's
how I
not
do
abandoned. Is there
That's how I do
any,
the plus 20 damage.
are there any random trinkets that seem interesting? Any
Sounds good.
anything that's weird? I mean, I've kind of gotten used to horde culture. Is there anything that I find odd here that stands out?
Search.
Like my total attack is. Like my total attack is 8.
That's a natural
I
20.
can only subtract 5.
So 18.
So, as you're wandering around, you find your way into a large square stone room with a large round table in the center with a series of chairs laid around it. On this table is a sort of a vellum map with a number of small figurines set on it, with like small like clay structures and with like flags placed in them and small little tokens like made of either glass or polished metal with various different logos. Some of them have have this golden trim with a lion face on them. Others have the
This
horse
is a
logo.
very fancy, elegant. It's not just practical. This is showy.
They're playing D&D.
It's a
Yes.
It's a war table. If you had the understanding, you would recognize these as troop markers and sort of fortification legion counting.
But the horde ones are much more basic and functional. These seem to be like
They're fairly similar. It's just the makeup of what they are is different.
yeah, but like coming from someone who's seen horde stuff, this seems
Yeah, like especially coming from the horde side, this seems a lot more ostentatious.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't have that much of an understanding of a troop movement map. Like, regardless.
Yeah.
So
you see basically like these like polished little metal tokens used to represent something.
is that all that's in this room? Just a giant room around these little tokens?
There's a series of like large blue banners that sort of mark the walls. These large tapestries that sort of trail down almost to the floor that have sort of this gold outline and then the golden symbol of a lion, sort of in the center. It's sort of the face of a lion.
I'm used to seeing these just in red and horde, not.
Yeah, in red with the horde logo. Yeah, these are banners. But aside from that, you see these very. Someone put a lot of effort into putting weapon racks. Like there's these wooden racks that sort of are placed into the wall that hold swords and shields on the wall at like chest height for a human, you would assume. Whereas most horde armories just have like a wall rack where they're just kind of laid on the ground level, where it's easy to reach and less effort. Someone made an actual like effort to hang these on the wall.
I go lift one off. Does it seem like it's more convenient for me this way, or is it just...
Not for you especially, because you move close to the ground anyway. Like you actually have to stand up and straighten yourself out to reach these.
But it's more ostentatious.
Yeah, and you imagine that for people who stand upright all the time, it might be a little easier because it's like chest height. They just reach out and grab. But the way the horde does it is generally sort of like, here's all your weapons.
Over and grab your stuff.
Here's all your weapons. Grab it as you go out.
If you can't bend over to grab a weapon, you really have no business holding a weapon.
Yeah. And the other thing is, they're placed on the ground, so they're not held in place, which means you can just grab one and go. These you have to like lift off of the rack because they're on like a curved rack designed to hold
There's
them.
pros and cons.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just weird. Do any of the weapons... and I'm guessing the weapons look different too because they're very
Yeah,
differently made.
they're like English longswords. and power shields.
And I'm guessing it's a more uniform type of weapon. Like there's a lot of swords and shields as opposed to I'm probably used to a hodgepodge of.
Yeah, like the horde armories have axes, spears, halberds, whatever you can think of in various different styles because this is what the blacksmith made.
It's more like the Confederacy than the military.
Yeah. Whereas these are uniform. You see like 20 of the same longsword and 20 of the same shields, basically.
But nothing that I would want to use.
Probably not.
Because I've already got my own shield and that.
It's long swords, shields, and there's about 4 long rifles.
Have I seen a long rifle before?
You've seen the goblin's pistol. It looks like that, but bigger.
Does it look that much like that pistol though? Because I've never even seen that pistol up close.
It's sort of so to describe it to someone who doesn't know what a gun is. It's sort of this curved structure of wood where there's like a wooden support.
And does it look like a musket?
An iron pipe. Yeah, it looks like a musket.
So there's this big long stick
with an iron
with a
pipe
big long metal thing, but it's not sharp.
No.
So,
And it's got a
but
hole.
it's with the other weapons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick one of these up and try to see if I can figure out what it does.
Try to use it like a pole arm.
Well, it's not long enough to be a pole
Is our
arm.
illiterate troll about to attempt a use tech device check?
I mean, you've seen crossbows before. You don't use them, but you've seen other people use them.
But crossbows make sense.
Yeah, and this has a trigger like a crossbow does.
But you can't
I'm
figure out
gonna
why it
fiddle
has
around with the parts because it doesn't look like it should be able to do anything. It's probably involves pulling the trigger. Yes.
Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
So just roll me an intelligence check.
4.
You can figure out there's like a lever on the side of it that has like a small like flat object, and you pull it back and it
Basically,
clicks.
I'm gonna pull on everything that moves and yank around.
Like you pull it back and it clicks, and you see that the trigger kind of rights itself a little bit. And you're like, huh? You pull the trigger and the hammer clicks forward. It's not loaded, so it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But you sort of figure that you pull the hammer back, you pull the trigger, the hammer clicks forward. Pull the hammer back, pull the trigger, the hammer clicks forward.
So it's just really difficult.
Weird. I'm gonna keep it on me and I'm gonna show it to Snake Friend.
Snake Friend slides across the surface of the barrel and just kind of like slithers into the end of the barrel a bit and like looks around.
That's not a good place to be.
It's unloaded.
Okay, Snake Friend has a home.
Snake Friend lives in this long rifle now.
Not for long!
I mean, if the troll never loads it and fires it, he'll live there for a while.
Okay, Snake Friend has a home. It's a perfect weapon. I can jab people with it, and then Snake Friend will bite them.
Jab them with the long rifle, and the snake comes out and bites them.
Are there bayonets?
There are bayonets. They're not attached, but there are bayonets.
What are the odds? There's no way I could figure out that a bayonet attaches this, is there?
I mean, there are these little like daggers that aren't on a grip. They have like a little metal band on them, and they very obviously slide in onto these long rifles. Like it almost looks like these things are supposed to be a spear, but they didn't finish putting the spear together.
I need to finish it.
So you put the bayonet on the long rifle.
Yeah, there should be a groove on the.
So I've got a spear now,
Yeah, you have a spear now.
but I've got a spear with a Snake Friend.
Yeah, you got a spear with a cavity for holding
It's
your
not
snake
weighted
friend.
right for being a spear either.
It's not right. It's not weighted right for throwing, but you can definitely use it as a
Or
weapon.
I mean, yeah, it's heavier than most.
Strange. Those Alliance folks must really like their pet snakes.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Okay, so you got home defense for your snake.
So, what's the difference in damage of the bayonet of a bayonet of a rifle to a spear?
I don't think there is one actually. I think a bayonet's a D6.
It is
Yeah, I think
actually
it's a D6.
it is literally you are putting a spear on. The
I
end of
think
your
a
rifle.
bayonet turns a rifle into a short spear. It's a martial weapon proficiency, but I'm proficient with martial weapons.
Yeah, it's a martial weapon as opposed to a simple weapon to use a bayonet.
Congratulations on your upgraded spear.
It's Snake Spear.
The snake wouldn't crawl in there though, because not knowing if it's coming, because they don't back up very well.
But there's an exit on the other side.
Yeah.
You can see
if you keep it open.
Also, these like Warcraft muskets are cartoonishly large, so it's got more than enough room to turn around.
Because it has like a big blunderbuss to it as well.
They're like Warcraft muskets are like this big.
Yeah, they're not like it's
this
not
is not
like
a
that
rifle.
big.
This is a musket.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's like yay big around, especially if it's
Sure.
especially if it's a tiny snake. It has room to like curl around the inside of the barrel.
Like, if it's anything less than, 200 caliber, then it's a pea shooter.
And then it's a gnome gun, not a gnomish gun.
So, 200.
And this is a dwarven rifle.
Which, in those cases, they're probably pea shooters that are just, electrified and filled with chaos.
Dwarven rifles also double as beer horns, so...
That is not
Click,
the case.
lock it in place, pour it in, drink. Adds a little extra. The gunpowder adds a little extra kick.
Well, I got one out of this room. I'm
gonna
gonna
make a Warcraft dwarf that drinks out of his rifle now.
The Warcraft dwarf is not going to live long. You mean?
keep meandering around the keep. I'm guessing.
Just fill it up with vodka, the most Russian roulette.
Comrade now has a new method of drinking.
Excuse me while I drink this. Punches the shotgun into a barrel, lifts the barrel and just chugs.
Okay, I'm probably gonna, at this point, I've seen there's not a lot of interesting stuff around. I'm
Mr. Roosevelt is thirsty.
Go back to the,
It's a good way to clean your gun, I guess.
Vodka is actually good at cleaning stuff out, because it's
pure alcohol.
So your first,
moonshine would be
your first
better.
shot, you just clean it out.
I'm gonna make a Russian dwarf.
If you don't, and if you don't get all the vodka out, then you got a little bit of a flamethrower to go with your gun.
Exactly, it's like
Extra mother
adds a
flavor.
little extra kick to the next fire.
Find the rest of the group, I guess. There's lots of people around here.
Yeah.
My experience with alcohol has probably been not.
You've probably seen other people drinking.
I've seen drinking, I just never understood. But I see the rest of the group is sort of there, and Shiana's off to the side. So the troll's gonna meander up to Shiana. The troll's there, not doing anything. He's just plopped down next to you, and he's playing with a rifle. And if you're watching, you see a snake's head poke out the end of it every once in a while.
Sometimes it's best just not to ask.
We've made him your
It sounds
responsibility.
like you would answer.
Exactly. That's why.
What?
We've made him your responsibility.
Yes.
He's just sitting there. He's not.
Oh, he's fine.
He's not trying to
never-
talk or anything. Obviously not trying to.
The two silent ones.
He doesn't. He it's like he sat down next to you because you're there, but the fact that you're there is irrelevant. He's just playing with.
You say that, but it's always Shiona that he sits down next to.
Yes.
There's some level of relevance.
There's relevance to the fact that he chooses to be next to her, but he doesn't choose to interact with her. It's. But yes, no, he's playing with Snake Stick.
It's like Boomstick, but, with snakes.
We pass the evening.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I think that's the rest of.
him,
I believe we're done. I go do blacksmithy stuff, then I go to sleep.
Yeah. So the group of you sort of rest for the evening.
And in the morning, all awake, Shiana has a hangover, of course, because she didn't drink any water.
I don't need water. I'm fine.
Your head disagrees with you.
Fine.
Thump, thump, thump.
Shut up, Ed.
Loud noises.
Shanna's over there just cussing at her head.
It's like, stop it, you.
But you all wake up in the morning.
There's a horn.
Could you be any louder?
And saying that makes your head hurt.
The Kodo drums start.
The bugler has a sense of humor and just louder horn next time.
They're gonna need a new bugler.
But you say that, but the there's a
You're joking. I'm not.
There's a moment in the morning when war drums start to beat as a military procession arrives at Fort Triumph from the Horde, from the Northern Barons across the chasm.
I'm going out to witness this.
As you hear the sound of drums being played as Kodos and wolves ride into Fort Triumph.
Also, I imagine the Bladewind warpaint is probably all sweated off, but
probably.
The Hellscream is probably still mostly there.
A little bit. It looks now at the moment it looks more like a close powder burn.
Like it blends in more with my beard than with my 5 o'clock shadow than anything else.
Yeah, like it's mostly gone. It looks like almost like a grease burn, or like your face jaw is coated in grease, like your engine grease for a minute.
I'll probably be like cleaning it off as I'm going outside.
Yeah, and you see this procession of Horde soldiers. They're not wearing your typical, like, the red and silver armor of the standard Horde military. These soldiers are wearing black with brass trim.
Which means?
You roll military lore.
Do I know?
Yes, you know.
Okay.
I want to see if he knows.
That's only a 10.
It's not hard to miss. These are the Corcron.
14.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of know.
And so the black armor with the brass trim, you know, is a tribute to Orgrim Doomhammer. The Corcron wear that as their colors, as reference to the greatest, well, not the first, but the greatest military leader that the Horde has seen in a long time.
Yep.
And there are wolves and Kodos being brought in. The Kodos have war drums strapped to the side, and there's drummers playing them. And in the middle of this throng of Corcron warriors is a massive figure, brown of skin, with his jaw tattooed black, wearing massive tusks on his shoulders and a great axe in his right hand. The war chief of the Horde, Garrosh Hellscream, has arrived in Fort Triumph.
I assume there is a call to attention.
Yeah, and immediately one of the Corcron at the head takes his helmet off. Warriors of the Horde! The war chief is present! Loknarash! Which, you know, is Orcish for 2 arms, which means get your weapons.
Yeah. Shing!
The troll doesn't quite get it.
I will find wherever the appropriate place to begin a lineup is, and go ahead and begin that lineup.
Yeah, and so there's already soldiers lining up and sort of getting at attention as the war chief and his retinue of Corcron enter, and the leaders of the forces are already standing aside to meet Hellscream. You see Vol'jin and Sylvanas and Warlord Bloodhilt all gathering in front of all the soldiers and sort of waiting. And as the Corcron file in and Garrosh makes his way to the front to speak with the 3 of them, he sort of looks over all of the soldiers assembled. You all are my warriors of the Horde. This victory today is the first of many. The eyes of Hellscream are upon you. And under the leadership of the Horde, you will bring more glory to your people. Loktar Ogar! And there's this slow rumble of sort of this, the Loktar Ogar spreads through the soldiers that are gathered here today as he sort of finishes that off and pulls the three of them aside for conversation. And the Corcoran sort of calls out, "All right, warriors of the Horde, a number of you are being recruited for the War Chief's personal offensive. We're going to Stone Talon, boys. I'll be calling your names one at a time. Each of you will be separated and join with the new as I collect my words, and join up with the new force." And he slowly starts calling names, and you hear names being called, and soldiers stepping aside from the main body. As Warlord Bloodhilt is in conversation, he notices some of his soldiers being pulled aside. That seems to line up with something that the War Chief has just told him, and he goes back to conversation. And at one point, each of you hear your own names called.
Mm-hmm. How big is this group shaping up to be?
It's looking like, with the combined forces between the Darkspear and the Forsaken and the forces that are already at Desolation Hold, it was probably a good 200, 300 soldiers. And it looks like about 70 to 100 are being gathered up.
Okay. So they're taking out about a third of the forces.
Roughly. Leaving most of it, but taking about a third to complement the existing Corcoran.
Ain't the lucky few.
Let's see if the troll's paying attention while he's putzing around with Sneck Stick. Nope, troll's not paying attention. Is putzing around with
Shionna's gonna nudge him with her foot.
Troll looks up with Sneck Stick.
Points where you need to go.
Troll looks blankly at Shauna for a second and then realizes what's going on and picks up Sneck Stick and takes Sneck Stick over to
the newly assembled.
The newly assembled force.
We all walk.
And then plops down there and continues to play with Sneck Stick.
We all walk across the path
Yeah.
to the other side.
Freaking babysitter.
And as you pass by, you sort of hear just the faintest snatch of conversation between Garrosh and the people assembled, and you just pick out, "You may return to your campaign now, Banshee Queen, but know that the eyes of Hellscream are upon you always." "Of course, War Chief," she says. No, you can taste that sarcasm, the sort of the venom that drips.
Spicy.
Well, I'm certainly glad he's proud of the little slogan he's built for himself.
The eyes of Hellscream.
So do they actually have my name on the list?
Yeah.
Now? So I'm kind of
because
they
ended up taking you down as a part of the regiment.
Just because I was
you were in Desolation Hold. You were helping out.
Squishy little shield.
I mean, the small and squishy part wasn't the shield.
Squishy center, hard outer coating.
And you were notified over the course of the night that you would be allowed to keep and maintain that steam suit if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've been rebuilding all that.
You're asking a goblin if he wants to keep an extremely valuable piece of technology.
Yeah.
I don't know what answer you're
Get the armor
expecting.
fixed.
The weapon's gone, but the arm is there. So.
Yeah, I've got to put a new saw on it, and I've got to put a cannon into it.
I mean, there's plenty
Replace
of
the
metal.
arm
If we
with
want
a
to go,
cannon.
if we want to go cannibalize some footman armor, we can probably make a saw blade out of that.
Or if you're a Forsaken, you just cannibalize the footmen. Oh wait, never mind.
Or if you're...
So what, just a giant saw blade where each of the individual little chains on the saw is just a battle axe head?
I mean, could probably do that too, but I was thinking just melting the material down, putting it into a mold.
If I use axe head on a chainsaw, can I use that feat of
it would be less
Iron Dwarf feat of pulling the chainsaw?
The Iron Forge axe rip?
Yeah, right.
I would say the Iron Forge axe rip is definitely meant to be used for chainsaws.
Yeah, it doesn't quite... A chainsaw that's just a bunch of battle axe heads doesn't quite work because the gap between the edges is too large. And so it's less of a brrr and more of a thunk, thunk, thunk.
That depends on how you're building your chainsaw axe, sir. This is World of Warcraft. Physics doesn't matter.
So at this point, now, is it like... So at this point, is it still a chainsaw, or are you just going to build like a windmill made of axes?
Well, it also wasn't. It also wasn't ever a chainsaw. It was a. It was like a
buzz
lumber.
saw.
Yeah, it was like a lumber mill buzz saw.
Lumber mill. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a circular saw blade.
Yeah.
Now
So I'm going to make it more of a circular axe blade.
Just a spinning axe blade.
It's just an axe head that just like spins rapidly.
There's 3 axe heads on an axe.
Yeah.
just a buzzsaw.
Yeah, it's 3 axes connected at the base at the base of the handle,
That
and so
sounds
It's just a pinwheel of axes.
yeah, it's just a pinwheel of axes.
We call it the axe wheel. I said not as efficient as a saw blade, but still, it's intimidating.
Or alternatively, you could just call it the axe and axle.
No.
It's the axe.
I mean, you could.
No, you couldn't. You really couldn't.
He could.
The thing will explode if you call it that. Again.
Alright, your malfunction rating is tripled. What? It doesn't like its own name.
Yeah, that's why the name.
It's trying to commit seppuku.
Alright, so
Committing seppuku with an axe would be
Efficient.
I was about to say it's all about disemboweling yourself. So you go.
You get the one hit instead of the stab and rip.
I mean, there's
yeah,
a
but
rip.
it's spinning
There's
so
just less of a
fast.
stab.
I mean, at what point is it still that, and at what point did it just become cutting yourself in half with industrial equipment gone horribly, horribly wrong?
Or horribly, horribly right.
I know what that is.
Yeah, seppuku is when the samurai stabs himself in the gut, rips it off to the side, and then somebody standing over them beheads them.
Yeah, no, I do know what that was, what it is.
Because you fucked up so bad, that's the only way you can get your honor back.
Well, it's also used for other purposes. Like there's a variety of things in honor. For example, if you're about to, if you would be entering an unwinnable battle, it's considered more honorable to die that way than to either be defeated or run away from the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
after a few minutes, after the entire group has been called, and it is about a third of the forces that were assembled for Desolation Hold, the orc that had been gathering everyone out speaks up. All right, you lot. My name is General Nazgrim, and I'll be organizing each of you in this assault. The War Chief Garrosh has a bit of a grudge to settle with the Grim Totem Tauren of Stone Talon Mountains. You see, the Grim Totem have always been enemies of the Tauren of Mulgore, he says, indicating to some of the Tauren in the group like you. But recently they've made an enemy of the Horde at large when they betrayed War Chief Garrosh and tricked him out of honorable victory. This will not go unanswered. And in recompense to the Tauren of Mulgore for the mutual betrayal the Grim Totem have offered to the Tauren and to the Horde, we will be taking the fight to them.
Do I know anything about any of this? Like, do I know anything about the event, or do I know anything about the Grim Totem?
You can roll me knowledge local for the Grim Totem. You can roll me knowledge local for the event. And the opposite will be true for either of you learning about the other ones. It will be knowledge. It's not a history.
That's a match 20.
I'm trying to think what would be like history of people that you know.
Local.
History.
History would work.
History.
History would work for the other one.
I have none of those. I have nature, the plains, religion.
27.
That's knowledge local.
Yeah, for knowing about.
Do I need to have local or
You don't have to have it. You can roll an intelligence check if you don't.
then
Can
that's
I
just
do-
the 12?
I got 20.
Could I do knowledge local?
Yeah, you can do knowledge local for the event.
Can I just roll intelligence check?
Yeah.
9.
You don't know.
I got a 20.
20
for local.
knowledge local. You wouldn't know about this one though, so you'll get a little bit, but not.
You're not local.
I'm not that local.
I I mean, you're local to a volcanic island off the coast.
My general intelligence check is a 0.
Yeah, okay. You don't know anything. You barely know what he's talking about.
Tauren. I think I recognize that word.
So what'd you get?
12.
So you know the Grim Totem. Of the many tribes of the Tauren, the chief are the Blood Totem, which are the ones that are sort of the ones that the Bloodhoof. Sorry, the Bloodhoof Totem.
Blood Totem or High Mountain.
Yeah, the High Mountain. The Bloodhoof, who are the leaders of the Tauren of Mulgore. The chieftain of the Tauren is actually currently Bane Bloodhoof, who is the son of Cairn Bloodhoof, who died recently in a duel against Garrosh Hellscream. The Grim Totem have never been friendly with the Bloodhoof or the Tauren people as a whole. They've always had a sort of aggressive and xenophobic worldview, and generally speaking, they have betrayed the Bloodhoof more than they've helped them. They're still Tauren, and so there's a certain amount of mutual respect there, but the Grim Totem have always struck out on their own. They've always been in it for themselves, as opposed to the rest of the Tauren. And they are not officially part of the Horde because they keep to themselves. They're very xenophobic. They don't like anyone who isn't... Primarily anyone who isn't Grim Totem, but especially anybody who isn't Tauren.
Alright.
You know that Garrosh Hellscream was challenged to a Mat Gorah by Cairn Bloodhoof. A Mat Gorah being a challenge to a duel for leadership. In recent times, Mat Gorah has stopped being to the death, but this Mat Gorah was insisted to be fought under the old ways, which is to the death, no armor, one weapon that you can get treated properly by a shaman of your choice to bless. There have been rumors that Garrosh's win over Cairn in Mat Gorah... Cairn is dead because of this duel, because it was to be fought in the old way, to the death. There are rumors that Garrosh's win was not clean. That something happened, that his win was not according to the rules. That he
may have smuggled in some other weapon.
The running theory is that his blade was poisoned. Which, from what you know of the War Chief, he would not like. But the general idea is that Garrosh was, in a way, robbed of honor if he did, in fact, not win cleanly. And so you sort of get this sensation that this is Garrosh wiping out what he perceives as a stain on his own honor. Which sort of gives credence to that idea that his weapon was poisoned, because his stated shaman for that Mat Gorah was publicly known to be Magath the Grim Totem, the chieftain of the Grim Totem Tauren.
Wasn't she also the one that insisted it be duel in the old ways?
No, that was Garrosh.
Interesting. And now they're going to tell us to go kill all those folks.
We're going to be a fighting Tauren.
Great. At some point, whenever I can, I don't think that the eyes of Hellscream are upon me.
They are currently upon us.
Yeah, right.
He's right there.
Yeah. So basically, when the eyes of Hellscream are not upon me, I will relay that information to the group.
This does not sit well with me.
No, right.
Was the troll just playing with Snake Friend?
Pretty much.
Good troll.
You're talking politics. Troll and Snake Friend have about an equal understanding of politics.
And you don't really have all the details of the matter, but sort of the pieces that you can put together was...
I'm stressing the idea that this might not be a good cause.
Like basically, what the pieces that you have to put together are Cairn challenged Garrosh to Matgorah. Garrosh pushed that it should be in the old ways, which meant no armor, one weapon, blessed by a shaman of your choice. Garrosh won, but rumor circulates that it wasn't a clean win. His shaman at the time for that duel was Magat the Grim Totem, known to be leader of the Grim Totem Tauren. The circulating prevailing rumor was that his weapon was poisoned by his shaman.
Mm-hmm.
Now Garrosh is going to eliminate the Grim Totem.
So basically he's trying to cover his tracks, make sure that nobody can come up later to contradict any stories.
It may very well be that he didn't intend for his weapon to be poisoned, if it was poisoned, and thus it was...
It could just be a...
Where are we currently having this conversation?
Away from the eyes of Hellscream.
Okay.
I mean,
I
would
would
imagine
presume there are plenty of rooms in this fortress.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't left yet, so I presume that we're like sort of... I presume that all the troops are gathered like in a field preparing to leave. And
Yeah,
like,
you're all sort of gathered up, preparing to move out.
basically,
away from the Korkron.
Basically.
during whatever time would probably be allotted for us to
prepare.
grab stuff and get ready.
Yeah.
We're sort of like standing around waiting for them to call, like off to one side, having a huddle.
Okay.
Yeah, essentially.
Group meeting.
Yeah. I don't doubt that. Unless the Hellscream name has fallen further than I thought, I don't doubt any foul play was. I don't doubt that any foul play was unintended by the war chief. Is the sentence that I had to structure correctly.
And even if it was,
double negatives.
Why did it take it out on the whole tribe instead of just the one guy? That,
well,
I mean,
if Magatha Grimtotem's intention was to end Cairn Bloodhoof and in the same motion ruin the reputation and honor of the war chief, then success. Hence the retaliation against the Grim Totem as a whole.
sounds inefficient.
Well,
what are your
It
thoughts?
is just speculation.
yeah, unfortunately.
Shiana says, what are your thoughts? Directed at Brick.
I honestly don't know.
Have they mentioned how we're going to go? Are they just going to march up that direction?
Presumably. They've got, Godos and wolves. Yeah.
Oh, okay. They're gonna, if we take a ship...
I would say that it would be nice to be able to
Get up
gather
there
information.
early. Yeah,
but
gather information up there.
unfortunately, we're going to have to move with the army.
We're military, so we have to move where we're told, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, you guys are.
I mean, honestly, we don't have to move where we're told. We'll get killed, but we don't have to.
Precisely.
Assuming that getting killed is not our intention, then we have to move where we're told.
Well, we can come up with an excuse for taking one of the ships.
I was about to say, you were sort of included because you had been helping out, but you're strictly speaking not actually Horde military. You can do what you want.
But I mean, if we can, damn, I took the wrong vehicle proficiency.
We will attach wings to
I
Snake
don't-
Friend and send him ahead with
Oh
a
wait, I can
message.
still steal one though. It's only
As soon as you say wings and snake friend,
That's
Troll
an
immediately
out-of-game
starts
joke.
looking for.
Out of game.
Out of game
Oh,
joke.
that sounds like a sarcastic comment, Sean.
No,
would
I'm
make.
sorry. No, out of game joke. I'm sorry.
Shauna doesn't even know that you're looking for winged snakes, so
Yes.
she wouldn't know to make that
Still
joke.
very
Fair enough.
Still try to pull that
No,
off.
that was
I
actually
can just yeah.
Assuming you find one that you can take on your own.
friends in it.
And assuming there's
That's
enough
right.
water in the way as well.
Roll a natural one.
I guess you're taking an
We
airship.
could
Yeah, take
likely,
airship.
likely.
Can you even pilot that on your own? And there's only 4 of them.
Yeah, we've got a plus 14.
I mean, yes, but just because you have plus 14 doesn't mean you don't need more
I
crew.
got I got a 50% chance. I mean, I would need a crew.
Likely.
If we could talk, if we could talk, just talk the warlord into the possibility that having a ship for scouting purposes might be a good idea. Why don't we let us take the ship? And since we'll be faster than them, we'll just go up there and find out stuff.
Well, likely any information that we would need to find out could be acquired from the Korkron.
Yeah, we could do that too.
They would have a more intimate knowledge of what has actually been going on in the war chief's, not necessarily reasoning, but some of his planning.
Yeah.
They are the ones that sit in on the war councils and guard the war chief. They would have been present at the Montgara.
Perhaps.
Would you like to make your animal companion your snake, by the way?
Snakes make good animal companions. I would assume the snake would start growing at that point.
Yes.
And growing wings.
There's a sort of like as you touch into that natural magic, he sort of takes some of that essence that you sort of gotten in touch with, and
he'll begin growing.
Yeah,
and
over
the next few weeks, he'll become
a very large
medium snake friend.
Medium snake.
And won't fit in your snake stick anymore.
No, he won't.
But that's okay.
He will become a medium viper.
We can certainly see if there are any plans to send forward scouts out and volunteer in such an event.
Yeah. Just we need to figure this out.
We can speak with. Once I indicate to where there's meetings happening.
You're right.
Once the proceedings are done, we can determine if we can make ourselves useful in that manner. Though I don't doubt that it would matter little what we found if we were to go ahead. This war would still happen.
But it might be interesting to figure out.
As I said, likewise, it's likely that this information, we can find all the quite a bit of information simply from communing with the Corcron.
That seems like a good first step.
What do you know of the Groom Totem, Brick?
What I know. All I know.
He's really that?
Pretty much everything. I think everything he told me already.
Yeah.
So that's all I know. They don't play nice with others.
So are they officially not part of the Horde then?
Yeah, they are officially not Horde.
And if they were behind, and if their Magatha Grim Totem had any hand in the death of Cairn, I imagine your people would want likewise retribution.
But I know that
they would often like to get at the Bloodhoof. Yes, the most common instance of Tauren on Tauren violence is between Grim Totem and Horde Tauren.
And
yes, it is something that some of my people would appreciate, but to be honest, I'd rather.
Would he also know the general reaction to the passing of Cairn Bloodhoof?
Bad.
Yeah. He was a beloved leader. And old.
Not just all of Cairn's people, all of the Horde loved Cairn Bloodhoof. He was one of the wisest and strongest warriors that the Horde had ever known. He was ancient, but for instance, Garrosh is one of the best fighters that the Horde has ever seen. Cairn had him at a standstill, if not was winning, before the poison, as far as the rumors go, started to take effect.
And of course,
so needlessly killing all of them would not undo any of what has happened.
No.
So how much input did he have before he passed? How total is the rule of the War Chief?
So the War Chief is the military director, commander-in-chief, and general overlord of all of the Horde. But each individual race of the Horde tends to govern themselves in day-to-day operations. Typically speaking, the War Chief is also the leader of the race that they are part of, usually. Garrosh is not just War Chief of the Horde, he's also the High Overlord of the Orc race. Everyone...
One president and leader of the EU.
Kind of.
Except, he has actual power.
Yeah.
So when the War Chief calls, all are expected to answer. But the War Chief does not typically have command over day-to-day life for the races that are not his own.
Yeah. And who's the new leader of the Tauren, then?
The current leader of the Tauren is Bane Bloodhoof, Cairn's son.
Do I know anything about him?
Not really. He was quiet for a long time. He's known to be a kind soul, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. I thought they were devils.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'll ask Brick then. So what do you know about the new leader of the Tauren?
That'll be another knowledge local. Or intelligence if you don't have it.
Yeah, just intelligence.
Intelligence.
That's even worse. 6. He's a son.
He's the son of Karen Bloodhoof, and he's a nice guy.
He's a nice kid. Anything else?
That's as much as I know. Cool.
Just one time he let me borrow his pencil. He's really nice.
Yeah.
It was a very nice pencil.
How much older, if at all, is Garrosh from me?
Garrosh is actually older than Thrall is.
Okay.
So Garrosh is probably like...
In his 30s then.
Yeah, in his 30s.
Okay. Because I know that he didn't come into fiction until after the reopening of the Black Portal.
He was born before the Horde was a thing. That's why he's a Magcar, because he was born before the Demon Blood.
Yeah. He just got left behind because he was sickly.
Yeah. Garrosh is probably in his mid-30s.
Well, we can speak with the Corcron once we start marching and see what the plans are. Likely we will be dictated positions, but there may be some room for communication back and forth. Would I know who in this group would it be? Nazgrim would be the one to talk to if to receive orders and also to.
Yeah, General Nazgrim is if the General Nazgrim is the commander of this force, then the only person above him is Garrosh.
Yeah.
So.
Would there be any sergeants or anything below him that would be in charge of individual groups of
Yes,
soldiers?
but you would have to be assigned to one first, and you haven't
been assigned one yet.
Yeah.
So once would I assume that'd be the next step, basically?
Yeah, basically, probably while you were on the journey, you would start getting assigned to officers.
It's not the place of the infantry to suggest or contradict the generals or higher. But once we have a sergeant assigned to once we are assigned to a unit with a sergeant, we can pass any information or requests up through the sergeant. They'll have a little bit more pull within the Corcron as a whole. Militarily, we can't simply walk up to Nazgrim and say, "Hey, this is the thing we'd like to do."
Of course, chains of command exist for a very good reason.
Though, yes, Josh, technically you do not answer to any...
Yeah, but if my name's on the list, I'm not gonna,
Yeah. You're not technically part of the Horde military.
But I can still...
I mean, if you keep working for him, you keep getting paid by him.
Yeah, they're independent. But still.
Independent contractor.
Independent contractor.
And they gave you this sweet steam suit.
That's true, too.
Better to be with them than against them.
Yeah,
especially if this whole Tauren thing is teaching us anything.
Well, the Grim Totem are also against everyone else, so...
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's against them, you might as well, But they might have a chance to change as they have a new guy in charge. We have to go find out.
Well...
Anyway, but yeah.
First...
Okay, so we get into the situation.
Once we begin marching, we'll be able to learn more.
Okay.
Gather some information?
Once we start marching.
Yeah, so after a while... The Nazgrim sort of gives the call out. All right, grab your gear. Time to head out.
Okay, question. Am I going to be able to pull up enough phlogiston for this thing on a regular basis, or am I going to have to get a cart and pull it around with me?
Roll me a search check. See what you can find in here while you were looting and figuring out what was around.
Are we carting the steam suit?
28.
So, while you were searching, you probably went straight for the stores to see if you could find anything, and you managed to locate...
exactly enough phlogiston to get to the Stone Town Mountains.
I can't. Then I'll run out of steam.
Yeah.
In front of the battle.
You grab 10 vials of phlogiston.
Okay.
It's what, a vial a day?
Well...
No, it's more than
It's supposed to be a vial an hour, so...
So we're carting this around.
I'm going to have to cart it.
Yeah. We acquire a cart and load the steam suit into it.
Because, if you just had to walk around with this thing constantly on, then inevitably, you get into your first battle, think, alright, now I'm actually going to do something.
No, they have wagons to load like walking siege equipment into.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll probably be attached to a wagon as we're traveling, and that'll probably be how we're divvied out to sergeants.
That's true too. Yeah. Okay.
So, how long does it take for us to get a sergeant?
So, it's sort of there's as the war machine starts to move out, the forces start to separate into the sort of the general regiments of cavalry and riders in the front, the beasts of burden and the wagons that are pulling siege equipment in the middle, and then the footmen and the ground walkers trailing behind. And because you're all attached to one of the steam suits, you're all manning and guarding one of the wagons, which means you got a ride. You're not blistering your feet. Lucky you.
Yay.
But after a while,
Brick doesn't blister his feet, regardless.
Yeah.
You've got hooves. These hooves are made for walking.
Yes, exactly.
The troll has so many calluses, bro.
Yeah.
So many calluses.
No, you don't. Your feet regenerate. Any damage dealt regenerates. You wouldn't build up calluses.
I feel like trolls are thick-skinned by nature.
Yeah.
I feel like their skin is just a giant callus.
And then after a while, your wagon is ridden up to by a Corcoran who is wearing slightly different colors. Instead of brass, the trim on his armor is crimson red. And he is a dark-skinned orc. His skin is almost like ashen black. His eyes are sort of almost a magma orange red.
He's a Maghar.
Specifically, he's a Blackrock.
Yes.
But even the Blackrocks maintain their black skin after the demon blood, so it's hard to tell for him. The orc kind of rides up on his wolf to adjacent to your group. Greetings. I am Overlord Orberok, and I'll be commanding your unit.
Greetings, Overlord.
If you're looking to spell that, it is O-R apostrophe B-A-R-O-K-H.
I wouldn't have spelled it right.
I'm spelling it how I'm pronouncing it. Don't ask me to write a letter to him.
Greetings, Overlord. We know where we'll be in the upcoming conflict.
Well, your unit has hands on a shredder, so you'll be doing a lot of heavy lifting. There's going to be notable targets that need to be brought down. Typically speaking, reinforced locations, fortifications, heavy targets.
Okay.
Do we have any information that would be necessary for our operations? Scouting reports, anything along the lines?
Yes, we've got some scout regiments, mostly wolf riders. Our raider outriders will be getting scouting information for us. Good to see you asking questions.
I've been with the military for a long time.
Well, if you're looking at pedigree, I served the Horde in the First and Second Wars, the Third War, and was the overlord of the Outland Expedition. I took the fight back home to Draenor to face down the Burning Legion and the crazed demon hunter Illidan. I've seen my fair share of overwhelming odds, This one we've got the upper hand.
We are mostly a unit fresh out of the Valley of Trials, though I served from the internment camps.
Yeah, so I've heard. Still, you've proven yourselves quite well in battle, if the report that we've got from Warlord Bloodhilt is to be considered accurate. And that shredder that you've shown some skill in piloting will be of great use.
Some skill. Some small skill.
Even if its weapon was damaged in the battle.
Yeah.
We'll find you a new one.
So, damaged in the battle. That's exactly.
Story. That's
exactly what happened. It was damaged in the battle.
That ballista bolt. Yeah, took a real number on it.
I mean, hey, ballista hits hard.
It could have had an effect on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Josh is like, absolutely didn't cross those wires. What are you talking about?
Blame shifting.
I most certainly did not hit the giant red "Do Not Hit Me" button.
Self-destruct button.
Why do they put those in there?
Because they're goblins.
I'm gonna put this big old button right here.
So I don't weigh much. Can I can
Self-destruct
ride on the
button?
cart
Is this a
and
shredder-inator?
be working on everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna rebuild that and add a cannon to the thing. And
You can add
all that stuff.
a cannon to the shoulder.
Yeah. So as all that goes.
Load that barrel into it.
It'll be interesting.
Just launch the barrel whole hog at the...
Anyway. I'll have command of you and a few other units. You'll be seeing a decent amount of action.
Very well, Warlord.
But if everything goes well, we'll be heading home before you know it.
What is the expected... are there any pre-scout intelligence on expected enemy troop size?
The Grim Totem are perhaps the largest individual clan of the entire Tauren race. Their numbers are a small army on their own. And if we intend to eliminate them, we'll need to do this intelligently. Their shamans are aggressive and exercise an amount of control over the elementals that our shamans don't dare to try.
Will we be meeting up with any other forces?
This is the main body. We have a few scouts in Stone Town Mountains already who we will be linking up to gather any information they have gained, but we're the boots on the ground.
And what, you said this group was like 100 people?
It's 100 that you've got. The Corcoran brought in about 100 of their own, so you're looking at about 200 strong.
And Warcraft troop numbers are smaller than real-world army troop numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yes. Right.
First off for the timescale, and second off for the fact that it's easy for one soldier to take out a whole lot more of that soldier.
Also sprite limitations.
Stop leaning on the fourth wall.
I have no sprite limitations. I can call any number of sprites.
I have no limitations. I drink all the Sprite I want.
The Grim Totem tribe is estimated to number anywhere between 300 and 500, but we have superior technology and the fighting spirit of the Horde.
Was there any discussion of including any of the other Tauren groups along?
We've been speaking with representatives from Mulgore for assistance. It seems that shortly after the death of Cairn Bloodhoof, a coup was attempted by the Grim Totem to take over Thunder Bluff, which you know is the capital city of the Tauren. And so the Tauren are looking for... Some are calling for revenge, but the new chieftain, High Chieftain Bane, is hoping to bring the Blood Totem... the Grim Totem back in line with the rest of the Tauren. We don't know how well he's going to go with that, but if any of them are willing to defect, we'll have even more numbers.
Well, will the High Chieftain be joining us on the battlefield?
I'm afraid not. Although we have received word that his advisor will be joining us.
His advisor?
So I take it this attempted coup is much of the reason why the Horde has seen fit to deal with them now.
Among other reasons.
I see.
But the High Chieftain of the Tauren's advisor, one Jevon Grimtotem, has apparently decided that it is time for his people to either fall in line or fall.
Can I pull a sense motive on that coup thing?
I also want to get a sense motive on that, among other reasons.
Yeah.
Sure.
How much is he hiding?
18.
He definitely knows more.
So there's definitely more.
There's definitely more than just that reason. You don't doubt that is a reason, but there's definitely more than just
22.
that reason. That you're expecting which statement?
About the coup and the extent of it.
From what you can gather, he doesn't know all the details, but he does know that some form of major coup was attempted on Thunder Bluff. He definitely doesn't doubt that happened, at the very least.
Okay, but it doesn't seem like he would just know.
He doesn't know.
It.
He doesn't seem to know all the details.
Okay.
Very well, Overlord. Let us know what we need to do.
All right. We'll be moving for a few days, maybe a week. Especially at having to move at a slower pace for the entire army. But once we pass through Crossroads, you'll have a moment to rest, gather any supplies that you might need.
Wasn't Crossroads the one that got destroyed?
No.
No, that's right. That was...
No, Crossroads is where we met up.
That's right, yeah.
How do we intend to cross the chasm?
How do you think we got here?
That was the impetus of my question, actually.
Well, let's say that when the Warlord and the War Chief want to get somewhere, there's not a lot that'll stop them.
I look forward to seeing what has happened.
Giant duct tape bridge.
Goblin engineering at its finest.
I feel like duct tape is actually more gnomish.
Does he ride off to commune with the rest of the forces?
Yeah. After giving you all the information, he rides off to go notify the rest of his unit.
I believe the rumors of the of the tampering with the duel may be more than just rumors. From his reaction to our questioning.
It certainly seemed like he didn't know much about this coup for it being the reason for this little war.
No, but among other reasons was very pointed.
So where are we headed, like map-wise? Where will we be passing through other than Crossroads here?
It's due north of the Barrens, isn't it?
Yeah. So
north of the Barrens, that would be...
So Stone Talon is that red-orange area above the green area, because the green area is Mulvor.
Okay.
It is...
It's directly across the Barrens from Orgrimmar.
If I can...
North and west.
I don't have my glasses on.
It's actually due west from Orgrimmar, but...
I also
north and west of where we are.
Right, yeah.
The pointer is dying.
Yeah. There we go.
No, it's not. Never mind.
That is Stone Talon.
Yeah.
You are here.
Okay, so we're heading sort of northwest.
Yep.
Yeah.
North and then northwest.
Yeah, north along the mountain range and then west into Stone Talons.
Okay. North by northwest.
Yep. Accurate.
Alright. And so...
it seems like we will be handling hard targets thanks to our goblin friend here.
Okay, we'll do that.
I have a question. GM, is there any way, and I don't know if this is a thing I can even do, but is there any way that I can ask the spirits of fire and earth to reinforce that shredder in the battles to come?
You can certainly try.
I want to spend a while communing with the spirits of fire and earth and see if I can't coax them into empowering a shredder.
Got it. Convince the fire to stop obeying the laws of physics that he relies on. That sounds like it could never go wrong.
There's no backfire to this.
Oh no.
There's going to be a lot of front fire, though.
That's the intention.
It depends entirely on which direction the pilot ran.
And a few hours later, you do find that the as you approach the scar in the Barrens that separates the northern and southern Barrens, you see some very impressively put together for how rapidly they must have been, slat wood rope bridges. And by you say rope bridge, you think something that a person is fit to walk across. These things, the boards, are half a tree, so they're very large wooden slats that are the give is probably not something that's fun to walk across, but they evidently supported these kodos and wagons and some siege equipment getting across. So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the mother of invention.
These would have been useful earlier.
They don't look pretty, but they definitely don't look comfortable.
They don't feel real good either.
Yeah, no, because it's basically a long suspension bridge.
It's like going down a railroad track, except it's swaying.
Yeah.
A railroad track and an earthquake. It's just
As we go along, I want to inspect it for any wear or any damage. Just as we go along.
As the things are going across, roll me an appraise check.
See if there have been any saboteurs that have come across and burnt bits of this bridge.
26 on a natural 20.
So the wood is surprisingly unburnt. It seems to have a very high temperature tolerance because you're right over a lava flow.
Mm-hmm.
That or it's already burnt because the wood has sort of a very sort of a dark brown, almost blackish coloration. So it's hard to tell exactly, but it definitely doesn't seem to be crisping or catching fire.
Mm-hmm.
The ropes that you thought were ropes are actually metal cables.
Oh, nice.
So they're definitely holding. The typical method of bringing down a bridge like this would be to slash the ropes. That's not going to be so easy.
How are they secured into the earth?
At each end of the chasm, there are the sort of wrought iron pillars that are secured into the side of the cliff with a series of hooks.
So what you're saying is not posts, but pillars.
Yes.
Cool.
They want to make sure this bridge is going nowhere. And look, it's not going anywhere.
Cool.
So it's like the Golden Gate, basically.
Made out of wood and cables. But yeah.
As opposed to concrete and cables.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also a slat bridge, so it sways. But
it's not quite the Golden Gate. Although the Golden Gate sways too.
It's a little
not
bit.
Nearly as much.
A little bit.
Less perceptibly.
Yes.
Yeah.
If a bridge can't sway, it's probably going to collapse.
If a bridge can't sway, it begins swaying a lot. Funnily enough. They learned that They learned that before the Golden Gate Bridge.
But the bridges are just wide enough for the wagons and siege equipment to go single file. So they're about 12, maybe 15 feet across horizontally.
Cool.
Mega across. What's the general, if possible to discover, what's the general attitude of the army right now?
Roll me gather information using your spirit modifier.
Thank you.
Can I go ahead and try on that too?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's not going to be higher than his.
The Korkron are in high spirits. They are ready to go. They're ready to start a fight. They're ready to pick a fight. The rest of the army is actually not too far behind them. They're coming off of a victory. They're feeling good.
Okay. No one's feeling. No one other than us really is feeling apprehensive about the reasoning behind the fighting. Basically,
it's a lot of people here. Most people know the Grim Totem by reputation, which is Tauren that are raised to kill.
Evil Tauren.
Yeah, it's like most people know them as Evil Tauren.
Which is to say, we do too, but...
Ours is not to wonder why, ours is but to do or die.
Sort of.
To clarify, I know nothing about these Totem Torin people, but
Yes.
I also am almost a sociopath, so,
You know that when you are pointed to a target, that you put target full of holes.
Basically.
Do we notice the snake getting larger?
Yes.
Over the next couple of days, yeah, you notice that Snake Friend is no longer fitting in the rifle, at which point...
He is
the
now...
troll will kind of like eye the rifle and just toss it aside. I don't know if the goblin picks it up.
Yeah, I'll pick it up. I mean, no,
He tosses it, a spring-loaded hand goes flame!
I imagine you toss it like over the lava pit, just, idly, and then something, nope!
Like I said, a spring-loaded hand just shoots out and grabs it, reels it back in.
No, when you see my reaction to that, I pour a little bit of powder in it, stuff it down, and I just take a shot. I'm gonna go ahead and look. Does that take two ounces of powder?
That's
for that?
1 ounce.
Yeah. It's 1 ounce.
It's an ounce of powder.
1 ounce. Okay.
2 ounces if you overload it.
Okay.
2 ounces.
2 ounces of blunderbuss.
2 ounces is the fire shot.
Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna take a blast and just show that.
First off, see that it works, and second off, demonstrate.
Oh yeah, I gotta hit some kind of target to make it look like I'm doing something.
You can aim for a rock.
Just
aim for a bird.
Just
Aim for a bird.
That,
Aim for a winged snake.
Oh, hey!
I hit it. Actually, I hit it. Yeah.
I hear a loud bang and some hapless bird falls out of the sky.
Are there any air spirits wandering by?
There's always air spirits. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the winged snake ones though.
Oh, the wind
So you can
serpents?
introduce
Yeah,
a friend?
No, I'm just curious.
No.
Because it would be really hilarious for there to be wind serpents, and because none of us know he's looking for them, it's like Shangatal doesn't notice him. Someone will go, oh look, that's fine.
Or inevitably the time's going to come when every single person notices them, except the troll.
Yeah, it'll happen. We continue on our way.
So you'd take a shot at a vulture or something. Go ahead, and the damage on that rifle will be
2d6 or something ridiculous.
3d6.
3d6.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no. I made a sniper dwarf at one point that just does a ridiculous amount of damage with a rifle.
The problem is it's a full round action to reload that stupid thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But there are no penalties for keeping it loaded.
Yeah.
I made a sniper dwarf that had the basically a sniper rifle with silencer and scope, because they have a silencer in one of the books that you can get. It's just lay in the grass with a hood over you, with a cushion over you.
There's a prestige class for that.
Yep, the sharpshooter.
Well, the dead shot.
Or dead shot. That's it. Dead shot lay a few miles back from the
what's
combat.
the range on that one?
The range increment is 200 feet.
200.
Long rifles are really long range, it turns out.
Yeah.
So it'd be 200, 400.
Ooh, it's a regular size long
No.
rifle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every range
That's gonna be
you've
too
been
big
past
for
the
me.
first range.
You can try and fire
Well,
it.
I can set it up like a hand cannon, but I'm
yeah,
going to be at
to a
-4.
minus 10, at which point you
Yeah,
can't
put you at
fire.
-4 if you
So
because of the
it's
size,
every
it puts you at
200
-4.
feet.
The
Yeah.
wielding weapon too big for you is -4, right?
Or -4, isn't it?
Wielding weapon too big for you is typically a -4. However, certain kind of projectile weapons aren't.
Because if I can brace it on something like
I'll say if you brace it on something, it'll just be a -2.
Okay.
Because you can use oversized crossbows in the books even much more easily than you can an oversized bow because it's
because you can
holding it.
I imagine you can probably whittle it down to a more reasonable size.
Not without.
I mean,
because the metal barrel and stuff. I would think if I did make a monotag,
you could probably hook it to your steam suit.
Yeah, your steam suit can.
There's your cannon.
There's my cannon. Okay.
Yeah, your steam suit can definitely wield a long rifle.
Just build a little reloading clip mechanism and
so that's gonna I'll have to
stick it to the
load that
arm.
in there. That's one of my weapons. Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
And it's got a bayonet, so your steam suit's got a close range weapon.
Hey, what do you?
And if you build I imagine if you build like a bipod for it, you could probably use it
just a monopod is enough just to lean it on.
Yeah, like that make it and like go prone with it. You can probably use a little bit easier without the steam suit if you need to.
No,
sweet.
Is the shredder large size or medium size?
The shredder is
medium size, so I can use it like a kind of a
nice
rifle. It's going to be a left-handed weapon.
I mean, the thing has a hand. You can actually just have it hold the rifle.
Yeah, it's right. Its right hand is actually a hand.
It depends on how dexterous.
Well, no, the right hand is a steam saw.
Oh, so the left hand.
Put that back, so I can hold it
like this.
What we're saying is, you can find a way to incorporate.
I can fire it once and then move in to do other stuff. I'm only gonna have it loaded for one shot anyway. So
yeah.
Okay, got it.
You have a weapon. But I'll say you hit a vulture.
Go ahead and roll 3d6. See how dead that vulture is.
Oh.
I feel like there's an explosion of feathers.
What'd you say, 3d6?
3d6.
Nice.
Oh, jeez. I barely went.
Not nice.
2 and 2 ones.
4 damage.
I mean, a vulture doesn't have a lot of hit points.
So you hit the wing, and the wing explodes.
So, Jangatal, if you're watching this happen, you see the goblin kind of grabs the long rifle and leans it up against the side of the car so that it can aim up with it, and loads it, puts the shot in it, pulls the trigger. There's a loud, deafening and a few seconds later you see a vulture careening down out of the sky with his wing shot.
He's seen people get shot before.
Yeah.
So
up close.
Just sort of click, huh?
That's what that thing does.
That's what that does. It was better than a snake friend home. The troll seems unimpressed.
Okay.
As the small army crosses the bridges and makes their way through the northern barrens now, having crossed over the scar in the earth, the army continues to pour northward, and after a while, you see a particularly large black wolf begin to make its way up from the rear of the army towards the front, carrying the war chief on it. Apparently he had been somewhere near the back and is now, after having done whatever his business was, is making his way towards the front. So you see this massive orc brown skin with his lower jaw tattooed completely black, with the great axe sort of slung over his shoulder, riding from the rear of the army towards the front. Which means if any of you had any questions for him, this is probably the only chance you're going to get at the moment, because he's going to have to actively pass by you.
I feel like asking the war chief, "Hey, is it true that Agatha Grimton poisoned your weapon?" would be a bad idea.
Anything like that, you have to ask something like a little more intelligent.
I feel like that's a bad idea, and I can't think of anything else to ask. Anyone else?
I kind of don't. I sort of don't want to hold up the guy who may or may not be willing to go to war with people to cover his own mistakes. So,
yeah.
I don't want to raise his suspicions at all.
Let's not.
I don't talk.
I feel like none of us have any questions for him, unless Brick has something. Nope.
Brick actually is the most passable person because he is a Tauren.
We salute as he goes by.
I'm going to be the first guy to ask a question.
Not going to be the first one to ask a question of the war chief. Good, I'm glad I've instilled fear properly.
Snekred will salute. Don't ask how.
Yeah. No. There are many types of insubordination I may attempt. This is not one of them.
Direct to the face insubordination. Not the one.
No, thank you. Me and all 34 of my hit points.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't quite have double your hit points.
I think we can take the war chief. Come on.
We probably could if it wasn't for the rest of
the
army.
Also,
us and the entirety of the army might have a shot of taking him out.
Also, while I'm not the biggest fan of Garrosh's current practices, I am, however, a loyal soldier of the Horde. So.
Oh right, we do have a loyal soldier in the group.
Oh yeah.
Somebody respects military law and whatnot.
So, I say nothing but salute. Or actually, Loktar Ogar, as he goes by. Or Loktar War Chief.
And as you do that, he kind of turns his head to you just enough to spot you and nods and continues riding past.
Gives the queen wave in his own way.
Gives the queen wave with a nod. Loktar War Chief.
Except when he does the queen wave, somebody ends up decapitated.
The entire thing is Loktar War Chief. That's it.
Basically. And a few hours later, the army begins to, as the sun is setting, the army begins to pull into the small settlement of Crossroads and set up camp along the inside and the outside as everyone prepares to rest for the evening before moving on. And as you guys reach Crossroads and have a chance to buy anything that you might want to with your gold, that's where we'll end for the night.
Okay.
Say bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Farewell.
Bye.
Night.